I wanted to make a video on Monster Hunter Wilds from the perspective of someone who has never played a Monster Hunter game, just because I thought it might make an interesting video. So, since I've never played one of these games before, if you're a veteran of the series, take everything I say with a grain of salt, because everything I say might just not make any sense to you at all. But if you're interested on a newcomer's perspective on the series, and this game specifically, then stick around because you might find this video kind of interesting. So, getting into Monster Hunter, there were definitely a lot of things that I had to learn. So, first of all, there's so many things that you have to craft with so many different weapons being in the game, so many different mechanics and combos depending on which weapon you use. But right away, I love the gameplay. The feeling you get when staggering a monster or jumping on his back to deliver big damage is insane. The animations in the game are pretty sick too. I started off using the greatsword because I read online that it might be the most noob-friendly weapon, but honestly, I was not very good at it, so I switched to the gun lance, which I was also not very good at because I didn't really understand the whole shelling mechanic. So then I switched to the switch axe, and from there, I kind of got in a little groove. I finished the story with the switch axe, and then I switched up to the charge blade, and now I've been running the switch axe and charge blade combo, which is really fun in my opinion. I like how every weapon seems fully usable and fun, at least in the early game. I'm only hunter rank 45, so keep that in mind as well. I haven't really dabbled with much of the end game mechanics, so I could be wrong there too. But early on, I feel like you can use whatever you want and have a good time. Now, I definitely need to mention how this game is optimized because that is a huge talking point on this game right now. I started playing this game on my old PC rig, which I had a 2080 Super, and it did not run great. I also only had 16 gigabytes of RAM, so I don't know if it was my GPU or if it was my RAM that was causing the issue, but I have since upgraded to a 5070 Ti and 32 gigs of RAM, and now the game runs great. I will say it still runs pretty bad when you turn on ray tracing, but you do not need ray tracing because this game looks pretty incredible if you have higher end hardware. You would really hope that it does though, because spending $700, $800, $900 on a GPU, the game better run at least 60 frames per second. Call me insane, but I feel like that's fair enough. I'll put in this video a little split screen action between gameplay I captured on my 2080 Super and gameplay I've captured on my 5070 Ti, just so you can see the difference. It won't really show all the nuances and whatnot, just with YouTube compression and everything, and I'm pretty sure I captured this gameplay at 1080p, so you're not going to see the full 1440p that I'm seeing on my end, but at least it will give you a little representation of the difference. Next, I wanted to talk about customization of both your character and your sacred, which is your mount, the little guy that you ride around. The character creation seemed pretty good. There's definitely a ton of options as far as like hairstyles and colors that you can change your clothing and whatnot. You can also change the color of your armor, which is pretty cool. And you can hide pieces of your armor if you think they look ugly. Like I always hide my helmet, for example. Like, I don't like the aesthetic look of it, but I like the effects that it provides my character, so it's nice that you can just toggle it off, which I think is something that more games need to pick up on, because I remember playing Cyberpunk when it first came out, and my character was rocking the most hideous looking outfit ever, just because it provided the best defensive stats for me. As far as your sacred goes, you can also customize the color of their fur and everything. And you can add armor pieces to them, although I believe I only have 2 armor pieces unlocked. I don't know if there's more. So if there's only 2, I would say that's kind of a missed opportunity. And of course you can customize your Palico, which is your little cat friend guy, which I think is pretty fun. I just modeled him after my real life cat, as you do. Named it after my real life cat too, so that's kind of fun. You can also hide any piece of their equipment as well, so I hid the helmet on my little guy because the helmet just fully hides his head, and I think it's kind of fun to see this little cat guy running around while I'm fighting huge monsters. And then one more thing I wanted to mention about this sacred was that there's a auto explore mechanic, and at first I was pretty skeptical of this because I was like, well, I'm never just going to go off my own and discover the world, by my own accord. But after utilizing it, I just can't turn it off now, because you can go from point to point if you set something on your waypoint and farm any kind of materials that you need for crafting, which I feel like it's a pretty good quality of life thing, although I could see why some people wouldn't like it and it would be kind of immersion breaking for them. When it comes to monster variation, I would say the variation is pretty sick. Like, once again, I'm new to the series, so I may get flamed for this in the comments, but I feel like each monster is pretty unique and requires different strats to take down efficiently. I've only logged about 40 hours in, so I feel like I'm kind of just scratching the surface of what this game has to offer, but so far, every monster to me has felt unique and fun to battle. Speaking on weapons and armor, there's a ton of upgradability there, so you can definitely sink some hours into this game to grind out the gear that you want. There's different variations of each weapon, all with their own elemental types, and jewel slots to fill your build. There's two types of armor, there's low rank and there's high rank. They're both pretty much what you would imagine. The higher rank has higher defense. Of the armor sets, there's two variations, one that normally fits male characters and one that normally fits female characters. And then also there's two variations where one has more jewel slots and one has more straight up like attributes that it gives your character, such as like being able to eat food faster, being able to carve monsters faster, being able to hit critical hits more often. And I have to mention that your Palico also gets a weapon and armor, although I don't think they do much damage at all. They kind of just, you know, set traps for monsters to fall into, heal you when need be. They are not super effective on the battlefield when it comes to dealing straight up damage. Now, each mission in this game is pretty similar to the one before it. What I mean by that is they're all kind of the same. Like, a monster is causing havoc on the local population, so you have to go take care of it as a hunter from the guild to keep the people safe. If you die during the mission, you just respawn at your camp and you can go back out to finish the job. But if you die 4 times during your mission, you fail the mission. Each time you die, you lose out on a portion of the earnings from completing the quest. You kill the monster, you reap the benefits of its parts. You'll use these parts that you carve from the monsters to craft armor, weapons, and decorations, pretty much anything to increase your power. Basically, you want new drip? Go kill something. That's pretty much the gameplay loop, although there are limited time events and collabs to keep you coming back. But I will say some of these collabs are kind of suspect. Like right now there's like a Fender guitar collab, which I don't know how Fender and Monster Hunter really go hand in hand, but whatever, get your bag, I guess. With that being said though, I don't think this game is very pay to win. There's a ton of cosmetic things you can buy. I haven't really looked into it, but I don't think there's any weapons that you can buy that will set you apart from the rest. So to me, that's a win in this day and age. My final verdict on the game. So if you're a seasoned Monster Hunter player, you don't need my input. But if you're new to the series, I would say this game is worth checking out when it's on sale. I can't fully recommend this game in its current state just because it simply runs like trash unless you have very new specs. Just look at the Steam reviews. If you have older hardware, like maybe a 3070 and older, I would steer clear of this game until they release an optimization update, if they ever do. Now, if you've played Monster Hunter Wilds, let me know what you think about it in the comments below. I'd be interested to hear what your guys' experience with the optimization is, because looking at Steam, it seems most people have had a bad experience, but apparently there are some people who have had no issues. If you're into videos discussing video games, consider subscribing, as that's what I do. Thanks for watching, and peace.